Okay, so welcome to my chrome demo. I'm not going to really demo much. I can show the MAH00113 markers, but I can't airbrush in here. But hopefully I've got a two-page printout of kind of what I've found as I've been testing these chrome products this week, because I'm sure most of you have heard about these new MAH00113 markers. They are really cool, and they work great both as a pen or decanted and airbrushed. But I wanted to test that also with a couple of the tried and true. I guess I'll get it out of the way first. There are some, if you want your bumpers or whatever parts done professionally plated, deal with, I've got the three biggies here: Chrome Tech, Little Motor Car Company, and GT Custom Chrome. It used to be done by, that company was just handed over to a guy named George Hernandez. He's part of the Detroit Resin Gang. It used to be Bob Dahl from Wisconsin, but I've heard really good things about the chrome service there. You just send them separate parts. You don't do any trees. You just send them parts. Obviously, when you're sending your chrome out, you want the chrome, your parts stripped as clean and smooth as possible. If it's resin, you might want to prime it. And again, you want to treat that piece of plastic like it's the best black paint job you've ever done, because chrome plating hides nothing. So on each handout it shows you the three contacts, and if you want to use them, just there's contact information, addresses, email addresses, whatnot. But my focus here is I'm too impatient to send my chrome out. I'd rather get decent results at home, and I don't really build enough cars that need chrome bumpers and whatnot. Although I have some really nice resin cars from the 70s that came with no chrome plating. So I've had pretty good success with spaz sticks, okay success with all-clad chrome, and actually, the only MAH00113 that I've airbrushed was just for testing purposes. I haven't actually done any parts yet of my own. So anyways, let's get straight to the MAH00113. They're about to come out with a refill quantity, which I think is 30 mils. It's not going to be cheap. Wayne can get some through Stevens for a decent discount. If you want to play with your airbrush now, get the 4mm MAH00113 marker, because when you take this guy apart, it has more chrome inside the body. The reservoir goes all the way to the bottom, so you got a fair enough to practice with before you can buy the little jar or the refill jar. I had, you can see a little bit of the excess. I was at Eric's the other day when I did my testing, so if anybody can get me a paper towel over there, because I got some chrome. See how chrome it is right out of this? And actually it's good that I have this, because that way it shows you. I wasn't being careful. I had actually taken one apart at Wayne's house, and I had taken this one apart and airbrushed it. Then I put it back together, and I forgot about, you can take it apart starting just above the chrome line there. You can see where you twist this off. Now, I'm not going to do that here, but inside is kind of like a friction fit two-piece deal. It's like nylon or something. Problem is, it's in two pieces, and if you get the wrong piece out at the wrong time, there's a spring-loaded component in there for the tip. It sort of went flying the other day. Thankfully, I was right over his drawer that was partially opened underneath his spray booth, so I heard it it landed in there, didn't go across the room. It got chrome paint on my $3 Walmart shirt, no big deal. So now it's a permanent painting shirt. This is lovely. That chrome stuff is amazing. So we have a new chrome table at the Smyrna Community Center. So anyways, this is the one I used to airbrush, and
You mean when you disassemble it?
I disassembled and poured it straight into my airbrush cup. You don't need to thin it at all.
I seen a video on YouTube, a guy doing some bumpers with
Yeah.
it.
It's
amazing.
But honestly, when the refill container comes, these will be only used as pens, and they work. You can use pens too to do smaller parts. The mirror faces, a lot of little things on this Honda. The door handles, the mirrors, all the interior handles and stuff were done with the MAH00113 marker on this Ferrari. The bumpers on all three of these were actually done with bare metal foil. It still has its usefulness. It's
for large
use the
areas.
regular chrome, and you can polish it with the same compound you polish your paint with. It still works. So, you know, with a simple blade style bumper, you can see you don't have to spray it. Obviously, a more complicated shape, you're either going to be really good with your cutting skills, or you might want to spray the MAH00113. But you can see how good that spoon looks, at least in the middle part. That's sprayed directly out of the airbrush. Again, no thinning. I don't even have a pressure gauge on my little compressor I was using, but it goes and it covers amazingly well. It's a very dense ink, so it doesn't matter about a base coat. You know, with all-clad chrome, they say to use a gloss black enamel base coat. Spastics, you can use gloss black lacquer. This is nothing, and it's sprayed on both sides. And you can see the tip, I dipped it in Future, and it did affect the reflectivity a bit, more so than the other guys. So I'm going to say that because this is an ink and not paint, it may be more susceptible to some sort of damage by a clear coat.
But when I brushed mine on, after I airbrushed it and let it dry for several days, it didn't do that. So it just going to depend.
Yeah, you can
So
really
inside,
see the reflectivity.
inside, you can see the reflectivity is pretty good. Again, in the middle, that was sprayed with Future instead, and it's better than the tip that was dunked in it.
But I can see
That
the
might have
backside is
been,
good.
you know, this one here was sprayed with All Clad's Aqua Gloss, which I think turned out pretty darn good. In fact, a little bit, the Future looked better at first, but when it dried, the Aqua Gloss looked better. This is Aqua Gloss. All Clad's clear. You spray it directly. You don't thin it. You don't shake it. You just spray it. When you clean your airbrush, it's just with water. And this stuff works really good. I'm actually kind of surprised because I've always done these chromes with some kind of a predetermined notion that it's going to suck in some way, whether it's going to come off on your fingers or whatever. But actually sitting down to do this demo has actually taught me that it's actually better than I expected. And you can see the MAH00113 also, remember my first demo months ago, showed how it comes off with, you know, touching it too much. If you're careful, if you let this stuff dry for 2 days, it's really durable. So if it's a part that doesn't require a lot of handling, I know all these models that I do, anything like that, that chrome is the last, those are the last pieces I put on the model, so I'm not handling it much. So if you think ahead, I'm really pleased with the MAH00113. I'm sold on it, and I'm probably maybe never going to use all-clad chrome anymore.
Have you used it like to do the frame of a windshield?
Not yet.
With the pen?
What I've seen people try to use MAH00113 marker in place of bare metal foil for chrome trim. I think foil is better suited for that because you can trim the line much better than if you have really steady hands. You can do it, but I've seen some guys, their models end up looking like stuff I built in 1969, hand painting with the silk. You know, it's okay for a 9-year-old, but I'm going to say use the right product for the right situation. All of these chromes are probably better used for wheels, bumpers, for the smaller pieces like door handles and stuff like that. These markers are amazing because you can do really fine detail with it, and again, if you let it dry long enough, it's very durable.
Isn't the 1 millimeter Micron marker, the tip on it's more like a hard nylon, where the other ones are more of a...
So this is more like a pilot pen, and you can do really,
If you got a steady hand, I tried that on doing chrome trim around like windshield wipers. It works.
you can get some pretty
Small. detail.
small details with
That's
it.
nice.
Yeah.
I do bulkheads.
That tip will quit
Yeah.
flowing on there.
Lug nuts
Yeah, lug nuts.
on a finished wheel. It's
To add,
And you can see this is the 2 millimeter, so that's the next size up. You can see it's wider. Both of them work almost equally as well. The one will do more than you expect for such a fine tip. As long as you keep it wet into wet, mirror faces, it's great. It's amazing. I mean, these Molotov markers are almost as good as, super glue and zip kicker.
How much do they cost?
They're around $10 a piece, full retail. The 4 millimeters a little higher. You can get them at Hobby Lobby now and use your 40% off discount. So,
I saw them on Amazon last week. They were like $867, and they were part of Prime. So if you're
yeah, I think, and it might be shipped from the UK still. Most hobby shops are going to have it because it's in distribution in the US now. They've had the refills in Europe already, but the US refills have to be relabeled. So,
Is it lacquer?
Because of the
It's
flammability.
ink.
Ink?
It's an ink.
But what is it based on? Is it a solvent-based ink?
Alcohol.
It's an alcohol base probably.
Alcohol-based?
That's why it's
Although when I was
explosive,
airbrushing it, I couldn't find anything that mixed with it to thin it, and it didn't need thinning. And I cleaned my airbrush out with acetone. And it does sort of separate a little bit, but that helps get it to flow out. You obviously clean it after you're done. And the inside of my airbrush cup was then chrome as well. Pretty cool.
It shines there.
I did the same thing you did when I opened my pen. I had a drop down. I was getting ready to do some touch up, and I just grabbed my detail brush
Yeah.
and started pulling right out of
Yes.
it. And as long as you don't brush over the same place twice, it'll have that chrome.
And you can't, if you're using the felt tip on it, you can do a little bit more of that brush over. You got to let it dry a bit and then go back over. And it's kind of like any acrylic paint. Like acrylic brush paints are really good if you can get on in one coat. As soon as you have to do more than one, you have to let it dry.
Have to let it dry the
So,
whole time.
anyways, I'm thrilled that Molotov is working this good through my airbrush because I've got a few resin 70s kits that need bumpers done, and honestly, I think that finish is better than vacuum plated chrome for a model car. The scale of the chrome or the shine is really good. Now, let's see. I'm going to show you my, next up is All-Clad. As I found out last week, my jar of All-Clad's old enough that it won't mix properly anymore. It was splattered out of both my Iwata and my Grex, so my All-Clad spoon tests really are kind of a fail because they don't really have the reflectivity that, it just wouldn't mix. It was spattering a little bit.
Can you hold the Molotov up spoon up with the all-clad spoon?
So
Well, you see
here
the
is the
difference.
Molotov spoon with the All-Clad raw. That's the All-Clad sprayed over black enamel. I'm going to say it's black enamel. It's black Tamiya TS14 black with a clear enamel overcoat. So
Would
Most
that
of it blows it
outclad
away.
buff out, or is it just the way it is and that's what you're stuck with?
when you spray All-Clad or Spaz sticks, after about 5 minutes, you're going to see kind of like a fuzzy
Film.
overfill over it. And just one of your soft claws that you use to polish your paint, just wipe it off. And then either leave it alone or then you're going to want to put a protectant on. So there's your All-Clad versus Molotov. I won't even use All-Clad anymore because I have access to
Polished
Spaz
aluminum.
sticks. Spaz Sticks Ultimate Mirror Chrome, this stuff is awesome. It side by side with All-Clad when I tested it years ago, it just has just enough more reflectivity, and it can be sprayed over Tamiya black gloss lacquer, which is also easier because I spray that. I don't spray enamels anymore, so This stuff is awesome. I got it at Hobbytown. You can get it online, but this company developed this stuff for RC bodies first. And the Spastics, so this is the Spastics raw over the black. So there you can compare it with the Molotov. It's beautiful. It's dark. It's not as dark as black chrome, but honestly, you can put that on a model and it's going to look good.
It's got the reflectivity.
It's got the reflectivity.
It looks
Yeah,
more
very
like
similar
pewter.
to that, yeah.
It looks like shiny pewter.
Yeah. So I like Spastics. I'm not bothering with all-clad regular chrome. Now, all their other metallic colors, I love them. And let's talk about all-clad black chrome, because I've been doing modern wheels with their black chrome recently, and I love it. This is, that olive drab Mazda that Jeff showed earlier. This is the stock club wheels for one of those Mazda kits. These are resin Plasmos wheels. They were shot with Tamiya gloss black, and then a real thin layer of the all-clad black chrome. In the jar, it looks a little darker than the regular chrome.
What do you
but
put for the black chrome? Do you still use the
gloss black, Tamiya. So, and then I protect it with Future. Now, as a test, you're probably not going to see any difference. 2 of these wheels I futured and 2 of them I didn't, and I can't tell the difference. I can take, if you want to see the difference, I can take the tires off and you can see. But so this is the black chrome, and the tip of this spoon was dipped in Future, and you can barely see any change. So if you can get away with not handling it, you don't need anything, but it works great with Future. This is what it looks like raw.
So you just dip the part in.
I just dipped it in Future. I have found pretty much if anything's going to work with Future, it's also going to work with All-Clad's Aqua Gloss. So if you're airbrushing, this stuff is awesome. Highly recommended. Let's see. So this is with the All-Clad Aqua Gloss Clear. So you can compare that with raw. Looks pretty good. The Aqua Gloss Clear I airbrushed. It's not dipped. The only dipping I did was with the Future. So, like I say, my 2 favorite finishes right now are the Molotov and the all-clad black chrome. Although, like I say, Spastics works really well. I have, I did wanted to see what it would look like. That's just painted over the white spoon with no base coat or anything. And you can see
It doesn't have the depth.
it doesn't have the depth. It's still shiny. So I get more time. I could have done more colors of spoons to test.
Do you think it would work that way, the silvery one?
If I had sprayed over like
silver.
I think it probably be better as like a medium gloss gray, a medium neutral gloss gray that's not too warm or too cold. Maybe even if you want it to look more like it's outdoors, maybe a sky blue. Again,
You could try.
you can get a box of these spoons at Kroger for $1, so you can test all you want. And
Looks like a lemon. Yeah.
yeah. And then it was, I believe I sprayed the inside with the Aqua Gloss.
That's the Spastics over
This is
raw.
Spastics over raw white.
Yep.
No primer, no nothing.
No primer, no nothing. And none of these were primed. The ones with the black weren't primed. I just painted the black straight over the... Those spoons, the only warning I'll say about these spoons is they have a lot of static in them, so even if you wipe them off, dust, just, it's like a magnet.
Yeah.
So even, I've got one of those Tamiya brushes that are real nice, and you can take and even then, it's like maybe that first couple of dustings with your airbrush blow the surface off to get any dust, because it's really, those things are really full of static. But So I think I've gone over basically all of the basic things that I like.
I have a question now. When you're using these products, do you do like you do a body? You wash it with the dishwashing, or to get the mold release off?
You do it like any other part you're going to paint. If it needs to be washed, wash it. Dawn is really good for almost everything. I've had some issues with when I'm wet sanding between coats, and I get some mild, I would say, sometimes some fish eyes or just weirdness. And I realize when I'm using a drop of Dawn in the water, that doesn't happen anymore. So the water that you're using when you're wet sanding and whatnot, put a drop of Dawn in there. That will very much help your next layer of paint that you're spraying on.
I noticed that I live in Clayton County, and their water is terrible to even drink, and it's terrible to do anything where you
can buy a bottle of distilled water.
Yeah, that's what I decided to use, and it works a lot better.
Yeah. Sometimes it just depends where you live. The Gwinnett County water isn't bad. You can just smell the chlorine in it.
I made a mistake one time putting rubbing alcohol into my decal tray thinking it was water.
I can't.
You had a little flaw there, right?
That messed up the decal or melted it or something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet, but it should. I would say overnight easily in a dehydrator. Like I say, I just started on these spoons, I think last Wednesday, and then I was working on them a little bit Friday night and yesterday during the day. So I was just, when I shot the MAH00113, I was, because honestly, you look at that. You do a bumper in that. If you've got your part ready, that looks pretty amazing.
When I sprayed MAH00113 on a bumper and stuck it in the dehydrator right away, I noticed a little blushing to it. So
Did it dry out or did it stay blush?
no, it dried out some, but it wasn't as bright as the part that I let dry overnight and then stuck that part in the dehydrator to get it to cure.
Try 24 hours at room temperature and then dehydrate.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point now with a lot of things. For the dehydrate, I will let it sit out 3-4 hours, 6 hours if I'm not. I'm trying to teach myself patience, and I get a lot better results.
Same here.
It's about 105.
So
May
what
not-
you're doing is you're letting the gas out, and then bake it,
Yes.
harden it with the dehydrator.
Yes.
So I know I've shown some of you, this is, I'm just gonna paint a couple brake discs here with the MAH00113 2mm marker, just to show you real quick how, if you didn't see my earlier demo, but you can sort of see I kind of go wet into wet. It goes on a little thick. You can kind of manipulate it, but you get a pretty good finish. It's not perfect. You can see a little bit. The striations in color you see are actually, I think, more of a separation. You can even see that when it's in the airbrush cup. But if you work the part enough, and it's basically comes down to using brush painting skills, but with a marker. If I do just a caliper here with this 1mm, see if I can do it for the camera even while we're going.
You got the 1mm?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is the 1mm. Of course, this piece is kind of almost ready to fall off, but
How would you strip this if you need to, Bob?
I have no idea. My opinion is avoid stripping at all costs. Try to get your paint techniques where you strip as little as possible. So, if you want to be the guinea pig and find out what works,
Probably will be.
Are you asking if you had an old piece of chrome that need to be stripped?
No, if you use this and you want to take it off.
Oh, I see.
I don't know if
that's I haven't heard yet. So I'm sure somebody has figured it out, because model car guys, there's some reason. It seems like if you only look on forums, it's like 1/3 of paint jobs end up getting removed for one reason or another. It's like,
Dust, fingerprints,
whatever.
whatever.
You're not happy with it, so you throw it all away and put it in this paint stripper and start. It's like, you know how much all this paint costs? And then the stripper and all that.
It costs
so-
more than a kit when you
Yeah,
add it
it's-
all up.
I think it might be partly because of the fascination of the whole process of chemical warfare on your models, where the paint just goes right off of it.
I just looked at the MSDS safety sheet on the monochrome, and its main components is methoxypropanol, which is a propane-based liquid.
That's why it's
A cat-free, highly flammable, and it's, so if you're gonna spray this stuff through your airbrush,
Get some,
make sure you don't have
ventilation.
any
Don't be
sparks.
smoking.
And advise ventilation.
Because
And
they're saying
again,
this stuff can knock you out.
wear a
Well,
mask.
almost any of our
Yeah, any of the
spray
paints.
paints are volatile, so.
Yeah.
Some of them are bad for your
Yeah,
lungs.
because just because it says ink doesn't mean it's water-based.
That's why that's the military
Yeah.
in me, I always look at.
And that with the shorts and goes.
Did you do anything with the C1 metallizer yet?
Actually, I did. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
That's like S&J powder, right? Kinda
Sort of. Actually, I think this maybe, I don't know if S&J is black. This almost looks like graphite.
Yeah, I mean the way you apply it.
I applied it over this all-clad. If you look at the difference between the all-clad raw and this, you can see a little improvement. I wanted to see if I could improve with that one in particular. But I've got enough room left on this spoon that I've been marking up to try, because last night I had a spoon that wasn't quite dry enough, and when I tried it, yeah,
So that's for a
it
black-
kind of messed up the.
That's for a black chrome effect?
I'm gonna, yeah, because it almost acts like graphite the way it,
Burnishes.
yeah, it gives you a reflection. It's pretty cool, but it's again, it's not a chrome replacement. It's if anything, it's a chrome enhancement. So, what other raw? Is there a spoon there anybody wants to see? You want to see what the Spastics raw looks like? I'll do about half this. I'll do the bottom half of this spoon with this C1 powder, and let's see if it has any effect.
What's that called using Bob?
Can somebody pick up the box?
It's from C1. It's their
It's
metallizer.
their kind of metal powder. I don't see a whole lot of difference there.
Not really,
on that. Well, let's try it over this kind of weak-looking Spastics over white. It might work better over that.
Gives the aluminum effect of more.
Actually, this helped this. It gave it a little bit more depth. It immediately darkened it a bit. That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
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 I don't, I haven't tested it enough to know whether, it needs if you're handling it. I'll bet it'll get fingerprints if you handle it too
Depending on the lighting
much.
of it, it's going to depend how it works.
Because that powder will come off.
Well, it's pretty imperfect. I put it over a piece of just raw plastic, and it. See what it looks like on the handle of one of these spoons. You notice
Oh, ah.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
it gives you a little reflectivity right
Oh,
away.
yeah,
It's very
sure does.
thin, so
Okay.
it's really dependent on the base color.
Yeah.
But
So it's really supposed to help regular chrome then, huh?
yeah, I think
I
it's
thought it
kind
was for a
of.
black chrome.
I'm going to try and do some layering with these things too, because, what if you sprayed Spastics over Molotov and then gave it the clear coat? Would you get Molotov-like reflectivity without losing or losing less of the reflectivity when you clear coat?
Question, could you use this off of chrome that comes in
I don't
model
know.
kits?
Maybe. Oh, one thing I didn't mention is, so I had this set of 4 wheels. They're Aoshima wheels that are factory satin plated. So this is the base wheel that I started with. So the set of 4 I did. This one is the original. This one is, that was painted black and then spaz sticks over the black. Almost the same, but a little bit different tone. This was merely Molotow straight over the plating. Look at that.
That looks
So if you
most
want-
chrome.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like a polished aluminum chromy wheel. And again, I did nothing other than
Right out of the pen, huh?
spray it right out of the pen. I didn't do any.
Right. Yeah.
This is this one was painted gloss black, and that's the black chrome
Okay.
with no
The-
clear coat over
The
it.
Alclad black chrome? The Alclad black chrome? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the only black chrome I know of is all clad, and I
Okay.
love it. This, like I say, these old Mazda wheels. Two of them I've labeled inside whether they have future or not. So this one does not. Of course, the two that are not are the ones I picked first. So, let's see if anybody can tell the difference. Well, where? I wonder if, I swear I wrote F on the two. Yeah, that one has future on it, so I can't tell the difference. I literally just took a shallow lid, put like a 1/16 of an inch of future in it, and just dumped it. You take it out, and the future webs between all those things. So you got to sit there and go, get it out, and your fingers will get some future on them, but just washes off with water, and it protects it really well. That way you can,
Touch it.
yeah, you can touch it without worrying. So it's good stuff.
Try that powder on a piece of chrome.
A piece of, flat piece of chrome, I'll see what it does.
I'm going to run it right across there, so we'll see the difference between
The unchromed. and
the unchromed and the chrome. So there's. You see any difference? Does it make any difference? I can't. Probably not much.
That makes the white look a little gray, that's all.
I wonder how it looks. I'm going to try it over the black chrome. It's so similar to black chrome. I wonder.
It has a perceptible difference. Yeah, it kind of, this is, got a texture to it.
I mean, I don't know whether it's doing much.
It actually took some of the texture out
Took the
on-
fisheye look off of the,
off the chrome.
Huh. Fisheye
well,
look.
you know that kind of a moldy look.
See kind of that kind of looks a
This
little
looks
dull
really nice.
on there, and
It's a little
then
rough.
smoothed it out.
This
Oh,
looks
yeah,
really-
because all these chrome pieces have a clear sprayed on them before they're chrome plated.
And where it's
That's,
clamped on
you know,
doesn't get very good.
you see, sometimes you see dirty looking wheels that have been chrome plated. It's because it's in the clear under before it was clear coated over dirt, so. But, any other questions? You say,
You did clear coat in your cars with that Alclad? You clear coat in your cars with that Alclad? You use that U-Pol all the time.
I use it, yeah, I don't need this, this is just for the chrome stuff. U-Pol clear for the clear coats and for a sealer. If you need a sealer to block if you've got really hot paint that might etch your plastic or eat your paint underneath,
Really?
a couple of coats of the U-Pol clear works great as a sealer. I kind of figured that was the case just by how it felt when it dried. It has kind of a Teflon feel to it. So then I tested it, and I've had zero problems with any lacquers eating.
I used to do that when I was a teenager. We didn't have all the fancy stuff nowadays, so I used to use my dad's technique of spraying clear on top of the bare plastic. Then he used automotive touch-up paint right out of the can and got some of the
Yeah,
best
as
paint
long as-
jobs in the world, and it
as
never
long
eats
as the-
through the clear.
As long as the clear doesn't eat, because, you know,
It's a
I'm sure
seal.
you've seen where you've sprayed plastic and you see the knit lines like you know, you've seen metallic plastic and you see the lines and everything. Well, those same lines, if you spray it with something too harsh, you're going to see that line reappear. It's just where when the plastic's getting smashed into that mold, that's where the two pieces, you know, the two liquid
They flow
pieces come
together.
together.
Yeah.
And you'll see the line and you'll see a texture here and a different texture there. Or like in my case, I had a model where I sanded all the mold lines completely smooth. It
And
was
they-
perfect.
they pop
I
right back
sprayed
out.
it with the color, it was just fine, and then I did the clear over it, and it was the clear that went through all of that and started swelling up the plastic again. All of my
Mold
mold
lines
lines
appeared.
ghosted. And
Because it
it was
has
driving me
memory.
crazy because it was, I had used a sealer that was supposed to work underneath it and it didn't.
You know,
So
I know it's not part of this, but you gotta be careful too with resin, because resin's a porous material, and if you don't seal that, and the paint gets down in there, it can cause the resin to swell.
Or melt.
Resin's fairly impervious, but different resins react differently because that Mazda that Jeff had in green, I'm doing the same conversion, and I took some lacquer thinner on a pad just to wipe it clean, and it got sticky. So it was almost like that resin was acting more like styrene. And I haven't gotten to the paint. I've got it in primer, but it seems okay. That, you know, I don't know the different products they use in China. I have no idea. It's just hard to say. So, thanks for joining and.
Very good.